Before we get going on tactical retreat and leaving the blue areas and all kinds of things, it's probably appropriate on this President's Day to remember what President's Day was all about, is all about, how it began. George Washington. Do you know that we have a special on George Washington here on the First TV? You can watch at your leisure, thefirsttv.com/support. Go sign up and enjoy it. Now, speaking of George Washington, we love George Washington, don't we? We on the right, I mean. Of course, the American communist hates the country, so George Washington is a piece of trash to them, just a slave owner or whatever they call him. But you love George Washington. We all do. We admire George Washington. You picture George Washington crossing a frozen river, the Delaware, in the middle of the night. That famous painting, everyone can picture it, right? Standing at the helm of the boat, getting ready to go kill some British people. We love George Washington for his humility, for his bravery, for the fact that he, as our commanding general, defeated the most powerful army in the world. Let's focus on that for a moment, because we're going to get to New York and this Trump fine and everything here, but let's talk about that. George Washington defeated the most powerful military in the world. My goodness, what techniques did he use? What kind of a tactician must he have been? Tell me, Jesse, what did he do? Well, you want to know? The thing George Washington was best at as a general, and in fact, he was so good at this, that war colleges around the planet, not just here in America, around the world, to this day, study this part of George Washington. Do you want to know what it was? What his specialty was? Retreat. Tactical retreat is what it's known as. I'm not making that up. You see, when we picture generals, we always picture the hard charger, kill them all, let God sort them out, sort of a thing. Well, I'm going to do this and do that, and I'll move here, and we'll wipe them out. But the truth is, reality doesn't look like Hollywood movies. Reality sometimes says, hey, I have to get my troops out of danger here, or they will all be wiped out. I can't replace them. If they're all wiped out, I lose the war. Therefore, I'm going to choose my battle. I'm going to choose my battlefield. And when I'm in a place that I can't win, where I can't win no matter what I do, I will remove myself and my men from that area so we can get to an area we can defend. I will fight at a day and time of my choosing, at a location of my choosing, giving me the advantage. And you should know that this is something many generals struggle with. It's why they teach about George Washington at these war colleges. It's hard when you're a general, you have all these men, all this equipment. You're a hard charger, you want the right thing. How do you tell them, back away, gentlemen? This is one we can't win today. That brings me to New York. Brings me to the latest and worst on what's happening in communist America. Everyone knows about the lawfare taking place against Donald Trump right now. Whether you're the biggest Trump fan in the world or whether you hate his freaking guts, you should acknowledge it is really, really bad for the country, and it is accelerating us going to a really, really dark place as a nation. As soon as one party decides to declare war on the political opponent legally, it's ugly. It's very, very difficult for a nation to come back from that. So the latest is Donald Trump, this came down last week, $350 million fine in New York. $350 million fine. His son's got fines too, but $350 million fine, and he's banned from doing business in New York for 3 years. Now, I need to clarify something here. You need to set aside your love or your hatred for Donald Trump for what we're about to talk about. This is not a Trump conversation per se. This is a conversation about America as it is and the way America is going to look in the future. Let's sit and think about this. A prominent Republican, Donald Trump, just got financially destroyed in New York, and in case you're wondering about the nuts and bolts of the case, it was completely absurd, a ridiculous judgment. And not only did he get destroyed, he got destroyed financially by New York's AG. New York's AG, Letitia James, she ran for office promising she would use her office to destroy her political opponent. Here she was.
As the next Attorney General, I see the law as a sword and as a shield to protect those who are vulnerable, because no one is above the law, including this illegitimate president. And so, I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
That speech alone is devastating for the United States of America and jaw-dropping. The AG of a state or a nation, the AG of, don't make it about the state, New York, she is officially the top law enforcement official in the state of New York. And she got in front of the people repeatedly and told them, if you elect me, I will take my official state position and I will use it to wage a political war against the Republican we hate. Just that speech is stunning. Something you really would never have heard previously in the United States of America. Definitely prior to Obama, you would have never heard a speech like that. But she gave the speech, and credit to her. I want to make sure I give the communists credit where credit is due. Unlike Republicans, she got elected and actually did what she promised. You see, that's the difference. Communists will run for office and they'll promise all these things. Drain the swamp, lock her up. And they'll actually do them. Republicans promise these things and then promptly wuss out the second they take office. So she takes office, she destroys Donald Trump. But set Trump aside again and think about this. If you're a Republican real estate investor in New York, what are you thinking right now? I'll tell you what you should be thinking right now. And it's funny, even the Democrats in New York are worried about this. If you're a Republican real estate investor in New York, you're probably looking around saying, am I next? Will they do that to me? If they can do that to him, the billionaire former president, what would stop Letitia James, Kathy Hochul, Alvin Bragg, this judge, whatever, what would stop them from doing that to me? The answer is nothing, nothing. And that leads me to the tactical retreat thing. I know this is a hard conversation to have every time we have it. And I understand for many people, maybe you, it's not possible. But if you are in a blue state, you need to get out. You need to tactically retreat to an area where you and your family and your business can be safe, an area where you can defend, an area where you can still be free. What happened to Donald Trump in New York is not a one-off. Communists don't do one-offs. That's not how it works. What happened to Donald Trump is simply a preview of what is to come. They are looking around, these communists in these blue states where they control everything top to bottom. You go to a blue state like New York, you have it all, right? You have every single level of power. And the communists have all these new powers, and they're using all these new powers in ways they've never used them before. They've always wanted to, but they've never used their powers this way. And I'll tell you something. They're enjoying it a lot. When Donald Trump got financially destroyed in New York, Letitia James didn't have a moment of self-reflection on what this means for America. She wasn't torn up about it. I guarantee you, cross my heart and hope to die, Letitia James, she had a party. Even if it wasn't a physical party, which I bet you it was, she had a party. It was champagne that night, baby. They're trying these new powers and they're enjoying them. And they're going to keep doing this to Republicans, top and bottom. If you're a Republican living, doing business, going to school in a blue state, you need to get out. And look, I will actually credit Kathy Hochul, not for many things. I despise New York Governor Kathy Hochul, but in the very least, Kathy Hochul woke up and realized how this looks to the other Republican real estate investors. And she realized many of them are probably going to follow the Jesse Kelly plan, and they're going to get out.
I know many of the business people in New York City, and by and large, they are honest people, and they're not trying to hide their assets, and they're following the rules. And so this judge determined that Donald Trump did not follow the rules. He was prosecuted, and truly the governor of the state of New York does not have a say in the size of a fine. I think that this is really an extraordinarily unusual circumstance that the law-abiding and rule-following New Yorkers who are business people have nothing to worry about because they're very different than Donald Trump and his behavior.
Did you hear it? You heard it, didn't you? Now listen, this is an extraordinary circumstance. I mean, you follow the law. This is extraordinary. It was just Donald Trump. I promise it was just Donald Trump, but it's not just Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the appetizer. So many people on the right view him as the final goal of the communists. Take out Trump and then the communists will not back off, but at least that's it for him. Donald Trump is the appetizer. You are the entree. This is a preview. Everything that is happening to Donald Trump, especially in blue states, is a preview of what the United States of America is going to look like in the coming years. So get out before the music stops and get to a place, a state, county, city, where you have some level of state protection so what happened to him cannot happen to you. And look, you know what the sad part is, and it really is unjust and it's sad. When it does happen to you, and hopefully it never happens to you personally, but when it does happen more and more to normal people, there won't be any headlines. There'll be no CNN headline coverage. I mean, you see it now. They were throwing January 6 people in dark holes for years, and nobody gave a crap about those poor people. As soon as Trump got raided in Mar-a-Lago, everyone cared. But when normal people got smashed, no one gave a crap.